All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Belkis-Praslin. I am the TAGG coordinator and a doctoral student here at the University of Oklahoma. Today, we're going to be doing part 3 of our webinar series, How to Get the Most Out of the TAGG. And I am joined by Fanee Webster and Courtney Tennell. Fanee, Courtney, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Courtney Tennell. I'm a doc student here at the Zarrow Center, and I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Hi, I'm Fanee Webster. I'm also very happy to be with you here today. I'm a first-year doc student with Courtney at the Zarrow Center as well.
All right, thank you guys. So you're going to hear the three of us kind of go back and forth today. And if anything is coming up or if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Anybody who's not presenting is monitoring the chat, so we'll be able to get to your questions or your comments as soon as we can. Okay. So if you've been a part of our past webinars, you know that we are pretty fond of the QR code. And so if you are not quite familiar with the QR code and you have a smartphone, what you would need to do is open the camera app on your phone or your tablet, point it at the code, and a link should pop up. And as far as I know, this works for Apple and Android phones. And if you do not have those, do not worry. We provide URLs at the bottom of every code for you to get the materials. And right now, what I'm going to do is put the PDF of today's presentation on the chat. So it's going to upload in just a minute for you guys to have it and follow along. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is part 3 of the 4-part series for the TAGG teacher certification. After every single webinar, we give a survey, and the survey automatically sends a certificate of attendance to whoever's completed it. And so that would be the same for today. Any person who's completed all 4 will receive a final certification stating that they are TAGG certified teacher. Okay, and then just a quick note, if you were not able to attend parts 1, 2, or 3, or any combination of those, please email me at tag@ou.edu. and I can send you the links. And then if you watch the links to the videos, you just need to let me know, and then I'll get you a certificate. We want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity, and especially because it's Friday afternoon and people are working, some are busy, and so we completely understand. And feel free to share that with your educators as well. Now, we have not been going over exactly how to use the TAGG in our webinars. And so if you're pretty new to the TAGG, we do have a webinar video just for that, and our training guide, and you're welcome to see our training guide at any time. And you are also able to call us or email us. It's always going to be me who you talk to. So I'm happy to answer any questions and help you walk through using the TAGG to begin with. There we go. So we're going to go straight into it. Getting the most out of the TAGG. And what we mean by this is the TAGG itself as an assessment meets a lot of check marks for educators and a lot of check marks for schools. And we like it, obviously, but we believe it's a fair assessment for most students with mild moderate disabilities. The TAGG can be found using that QR code or just going to tag.ou.edu. But then there is what happens after the assessment. How do we teach the skills that the TAGG assesses? And many of you who are familiar with our Zarrow Center site will know that we have a number of free materials online, but we also want to show you how to use the more popular ones, and then ones that is not as popular, but I think could be very effective for your students, especially in virtual distant learning situations or just a non-traditional education setting is how we're experiencing it this year. So, and I always like to put this in our PowerPoints, the mission of the Zarrow Center is to facilitate successful secondary and post-secondary outcomes for students with disabilities. The way that we do this is to support educators. If we support educators and if we are able to provide these tools and resources for educators, then we have made a direct line to providing or facilitating successful secondary outcomes for our students. And so that is our big goal, and we kind of stick pretty hard to it here. But then the purpose of these certification series. So like I said before, we're going to go over the free resources that the Zarrow Center and the TAGG have to offer. And we're going to focus on 3. And I promise you there are many, many more other than these 3. But these are the 3 that are most used and probably most effective in attacking or targeting those TAGG skills. So we're going to start with the me.
Alrighty, that is my cue. Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen.
Stop sharing.
Like, let me make sure I'm doing this correctly.
So
Oh, wait.
our part 2 webinar, we had a number of technology issues, and we're hoping to kind of negate some of those today. And we promise we're doing it as smoothly as possible. So, Fanee?
Yeah. Alrighty, can you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. Now the me curriculum is, I think, super awesome. Me personally, it deals with self-determination skills, specifically self-efficacy and self-awareness. And we know that when we work on those things and increase self-efficacy and self-awareness, we have the potential to increase successful secondary and post-secondary outcomes for students with disabilities. This curriculum, I think, does a really great job of doing that. It's very comprehensive. It's going to give you practically everything you need. It's going to give you guides to using the lessons. It has a complete scope and sequence that aligns with state standards. There are other resources and supplemental aids that go along with the lessons. As a whole, it consists of 10 units. And in those units, you're going to get your learning objectives. You're going to get everything down to prompts, like as a teacher, like what discussion questions should I be asking to facilitate whatever lesson we're learning. It's going to give you those. So if you're a seasoned teacher and you don't need it, you're like, okay, I can do without those. That's great. If you're brand new to transition and you really want to get this right, it's going to give you everything that you need. It's going to address 3 of the 8 TAGG skills. It's going to address strengths and limitations, disability awareness, and also interacting with others, which is really cool. That it kind of covers multiple TAGG skills. So especially if you're giving that TAGG assessment and you see that your kiddos have needs in those areas, the me curriculum, if those are their areas, is a great tool to see those, to see growth in all 3 of those. And on your right side is just kind of what you're going to get in a unit. So this is unit 1. So you're going to get your lessons, any worksheets. You'll see where it says me scale and you scale. The me scale is for them, but the you scale, it also has it for the parents. So there's opportunities for parental engagement there with those skills. It's also not only going to give you worksheets, but it's going to give you a modified version of that worksheet, which I love. So it kind of already gives you a leg up on the differentiation, just giving you those modified lessons. And then at the end of each lesson, there's also a quiz that goes with each individual lesson that they're teaching. They're really great about breaking down acronyms and working with the kids, especially in the first unit or 2, just so they know what IEP means. They know what FERPA means, just regular everyday acronyms that are used. It kind of takes some of that. It's less intimidating because they know exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't just sound like big grown-up language that they don't get or understand. Oh wait, nope, went too far. In addition to that, they can make a me binder, is what the curriculum calls it. And it's basically a portfolio that allows them any of the activities they do, projects that they do. It kind of helps them build a portfolio that can be a great resource for them, not only in high school, but in post-secondary life. And it's very comprehensive. It's very clear cut. So it basically gives them what dividers they need, and then they just accumulate as they get it back. It's graded. They just put it in their binder. And when the course, when the curriculum is done, it gives them a really great resource.
Now,
So
I know that, I don't know if you all know this, the Me is the most popular transition tool that we have on our website. And the next popular are the bell ringers, which Courtney's going to go over. And I see that some of you may be using the Me. Has anybody here have experience that they want to share on how they use the Me? It's okay if you don't. But if you do, feel free to type it in the chat. And I think I put it in one of the slides below, that any new way that teachers use our materials, we want to know, because your way may be more effective and your way may be helpful to other educators. And so we kind of compile this information. We try to share it out as much as possible. So next will be Courtney.
Okay, let me just share my screen too. Okay, are you guys all seeing my screen? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the transition bell ringers. They are one of our most popular resources. I think most of you guys have probably used bell ringers in your classroom. If you haven't, they are just quick little activities that can be used to teach transition skills. They can be anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. I like to do them at the beginning of class. And so the kids can come in and one of them's up and they can sit down and get started on that. And I can do attendance and get everything ready. And then they're done. We have ready-made PowerPoint bell ringers. We are working on getting them formatted into Google Slides so that you guys can use them in like Google Classroom for distance learning. Maybe it will be a bit easier, but that's in the process. Sorry, I keep having to move my window of people. The Me bell ringers go along with the Me curriculum that Fanee was just telling us about. There's a QR code if you guys want to scan it, and it'll take you to where you can download it. It's a PowerPoint with 50 slides. And so there's 50 bell ringers that you guys can use. You can edit them if you don't love the way they're worded. They're totally editable. They address strengths and limitations, disability awareness, and interacting with others, just like the Me curriculum. And one cool thing that we did add to them are these little buttons right here. I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but these sound, I guess the sound buttons, you can click on it and it will actually read it to your students or read it to you. And so these are just some examples of some of the transition bell ringers. They have self-awareness, disability awareness, post-secondary goals, you know, like where do you want to live? Where do you want to learn? Where do you want to work? And so these are where you can find them on our website. And our website is just a little clunky. We're in the process of trying to streamline it. All of these resources are available on our Teachers Pay Teachers page for free, and they're really easy to download that way. We also have the fundamental transition skill bell ringers. And again, there's a QR code that you can go to. These are more focused on transition skills and knowledge. There are 45 slides that you can use. And I mean, we have enough slides on all of these bell ringers that you could have a bell ringer for every day of the school year almost. And you wouldn't really have to, you know, come up with anything on your own. These fundamental transition skill bell ringers address strengths and limitations, disability awareness, goal setting, involvement in the IEP meeting, support community, and I'll show you some examples of those. You can see if you forget to do something at school, what should you do? And they're just really great little activities. My favorite, my absolute favorite are the personal financial literacy bell ringers. They are so important, and really every high schooler could benefit from these bell ringers. So if you wanted to use it in a gen ed setting, it's a great way to include your students who need transition skills. And let's see, they're focused on transition skills and knowledge, 50 slides, disability awareness, goal setting and attainment, employment. And here's some examples of those. So like the difference between a debit card and a credit card, writing a monthly budget, how do you build and maintain a good credit history? And like I said, these are things that all high schoolers need. My favorite one is, what is the difference between needs and wants? And like, I think that's so important. I always say even my husband could benefit from that bell ringer. So those are the bell ringers. And again, they're on the Teachers Pay Teachers website for free, and they're super easy to download. And I'll stop sharing when I can figure out how.
I got it.
Thank you.
So before we go on to the next one, and this looks like it's going to be a pretty fast webinar, to be honest, because we didn't want to overload you with all the things. We wanted to focus on the most used things and things that might be most effective to you in getting the most out of the tag now in our current circumstances and in our foreseeable future as well. And so the me, if you are one of these teachers that I love to call lucky, because you would get to use your own transition curriculum. If you have the ability to teach an entire curriculum, I would 100% recommend something like the me or the me, of course. And the only feedback that is with it is that you can do it in however long it takes you. You can do a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, but to do them in order because the topics are sequential. And then the bell ringers are most ideal for educators who do not have a whole class lesson or a whole year to dedicate solely to transition topics. And so if you are a teacher who is also teaching in the inclusion setting, or you don't see your students so often, but you want them to start attacking some of these things, perhaps there's collaboration that can be done with the general education educators in including one of these bell ringer prompts at least once a week or once every couple of weeks. And it's going to start doing some education training for your student or some transition training for your student that will hopefully support their IEP goals and their transition plan goals. Those are my 2 cents. Okay, so the next one we're going to go over is the Student Directed Transition Planning, or the SDTP. This hasn't been used as much lately, but the reason I wanted to show it to you all is because the SDTP has a lot of research behind it. And so we at the Zarrow Center love the research behind things because it kind of tells us that using it will be effective across different student populations. And our bell ringers are wonderful, but they don't really have research behind them so much. And our me is great, and it does have some research behind it. And so we wanted to be able to share the other materials on our website that have that, that kind of status of research evidence-based practices. So the student-directed transition planning are lessons that are meant to facilitate high school to adult life. And it's this planning partnership that occurs between the students, their families, the educators, basically the entire IEP team. And the reason we chose this one over some of the other materials we have on our website is because student involvement is one of the larger predictors of how well a student will do outside of the high school setting when they leave your classrooms. Understanding their IEP and understanding the types of accommodations and services that they need in order to be successful are incredibly important. And far too often and over a long period of time, we see that students leave high school and many of them believe that they no longer have a disability because nobody is kind of informing them or following them around with an IEP. And so there's like a drop off that happens in terms of services that an individual needs to be accommodated and be successful, and then knowing how to ask for and advocate for those things. And it all could very well start in the student involvement in the transition planning or the IEP. And so has anybody here, you could turn your camera on if you do a number of student involvement activities in your current transition work or IEP work. I'm looking at your cameras. Just a quick turn on. Okay, a couple. Great. Hi to you all who are using it. If you have great ideas on how to get your student involved in the IEP, please start sharing them in our chat. If not, I'm going to go over how to use our SDTP here. So thank you for turning on your cameras. You can turn them right off. You don't have to look at me, I promise. So the SDTP has 8 lessons, and they're fully fleshed out lessons. And there's also 2 different kinds of pre and post tests that you can give your students. So in addition to the lessons that you are administering, you can also administer some tests and use that as data in your IEP and your transition plan, or as just proof that you are working on these goals with your student. I'm going to walk you guys through the website once we've kind of gone over the information. But when you go over into the actual lessons, this would be lesson number 1. It's called the awareness lesson. You'll see there that the PowerPoint presentation is there. The teacher's guide is available for each lesson as well. And then all the activities and reproducibles are there as well. And on the right-hand side of the screen is just what the PowerPoint looks like. Now, we fully recognize that these PowerPoints are a little bit outdated. And so we have absolutely no issue with you having to, or feeling that it's necessary to change some of these things around, make it a little bit more relevant to your student. The training, the teacher's guide and the training and the information on our website says that it's completely acceptable to do that from the teacher's perspective, but to teach these things like the me in sequential order. So if you're able to keep going with lesson 1 and then 2 and so forth. So the entire 8-lesson package and tests takes about 15 hours to teach. And again, like you could do it in any manner that meets your needs, and modify to however you need as well. So I want to be able to walk you guys through a couple different things, but it takes the SDTP has attacks or addresses about 5 different areas of the 8 that the TAGG assesses. And so that alone is a great reason to connect those 2 packages together. And I saw that somebody raised their hand. I missed your name, I'm sorry, but feel free to unmute. You can let us know.
Hey, it's Lansing Brown. I was just on the website and the links aren't working. When I click lesson 1, it gives me a 404 error.
Oh, here, let's try it out together.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know. Okay, so what I've done here is go to, we'll just start it all together, to Zarrow Center at .ou.edu. And like Courtney said, our website is a little clunky and we promise we're working on it. It's like an everyday battle for us that we really want things updated, but little by little, because we don't know how to code websites. So for any of the materials we talked about today, you're going to go to the Transition Education Resources tab. From here, you can access everything, but you can also access all the materials we have on our sidebar on the left-hand screen. So let's go into student-directed transition planning. And so one of the things that is not easy to show on a PowerPoint is that each of the areas in that graph are clickable. So it'll take you straight to that area, which is kind of nice.
I'm sorry, never mind. I clicked on the SDTP home.
Oh,
and then tried to click on them. And so if you click there, it leads you to what looks like this, but does not have the links attached to it.
okay. Thank you for letting us know, because we can definitely send that information to who manages our website. But from here, you should be able to click any of the lessons. So I showed you what lesson 1 looks like. Let's go to lesson 6, the course of study, which we know is important for the IEP or the transition plan. There's always a question about course of study. Sometimes it's kind of hidden into the IEP, and students may not always be able to answer that for themselves. And so we're gonna, well, it won't make me download a PowerPoint, but the lesson activities are there as well. And then it'll take you, if you're following it from the website, it'll take you to the next section. And then if you wanted to look at the Me, you're still on the same page. You would just click the Me tab. And how to use the lessons is here. The scope and sequence is here. Materials of everything, and then all the units split up for you to view, and the information there. There's research, so there's research for you to look at if you're deadly interested in the research. And the exact same thing would go for the transition bell ringers. You click this tab and they are right here. It's not as a fancy or nice looking picture, but they're all right there. Okay. Guys, this is the fastest webinar I've ever done in my life. Hold on 1 second. I'm reading the comment, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just about to say that, Belkis. We had a lot of great ideas, and people shared a lot of great resources on preparation for IEP meetings. Dawn stated that she assigns 2 presentations, one where students have to research another disability other than their own, and then they also have to do their own disability, which I think is awesome. And then Tracy mentioned that students have to present the growth that they've made in the past year, which is awesome because it's one of the things that we go over in the IEP meeting, as well as have them participate in what accommodations they can have based on their needs. And I feel like most teachers could agree that accommodations are like the biggest, like I found the biggest problems with them as far as what parents or what people thought they needed versus what they actually use in the classroom. And it really just helps that self-advocacy piece when they know what they need as far as accommodations. And then Courtney talked about how she has the PowerPoint template, and they basically go through, add everything about it, basically everything that they need for their ARD meeting, which ARD, Oklahoma Peeps, is just an IEP meeting. It's just the verbiage in Texas. And then they share that PowerPoint themselves throughout their meeting. So really great idea. Thank you guys so much for sharing in the chat.
Our audio cut off just a little bit, but here are the final slides. This is the contact information for us at the Zarrow Center or at the TAGG. Feel free to reach out to any of us if you have any questions regarding the TAGG or Zarrow Center materials, or if you have questions on any transition resources. If we don't know the answer, we will do our best to help you find the answer. The only caveat I have right now is that the COVID campus closures are still continuing at the University of Oklahoma, and so we may not be able to answer our phone calls right away, but we will always get back to you on email as soon as possible. And then finally, if you have attended the and watched this video for the 3rd webinar of the 4-part series, please use this QR code or form below to access our survey form. Once it's complete, you should receive an email with your certificate of attendance. We appreciate you taking some time with us. Please, again, if anything comes up, reach out to us. We are happy to help you out and help our educators and students. Thank you.